Bonjour à tous. Je voulais
Hello,
d'abord remercier le
everyone.
forum
First of all,
de
thank
m'avoir
you,
invité. Je
everyone here
suis
at the
très
forum,
flatté de
for
pouvoir faire
inviting me. I'm
l'ouverture
very
et
flattered
remercier aussi
to
Mickaël qui a
kick
porté cette
off.
initiative
And I like to
de
thank
la VR au
Michael,
Forum des images
who
depuis
brought
maintenant
this
2 ans.
initiative here to
Je vais essayer
form
de
des images
vous
mondiales
raconter ce qui a
for
amené une
now 2 years.
société comme
And
MK2
I'd like to
qui a
tell
commencé
you
dans
what
le
brought a company
cinéma, qui
like
a
MK2,
43
which is
ans, une société familiale, à
a
s'être
movie
lancée
production, a movie
dans la
company,
réalité virtuelle
40 years in
et
the
un peu
family.
quelle a
So
été
what
la
brought
trame
us
de
to
réflexion qui nous a amené à mener
virtual
les différentes
reality,
activités que nous avons
to bring the
aujourd'hui.
various activities
C'est vrai que dans le
to
titre
that
de
we
la
have
conférence,
today.
on a
So in the title
deux éléments qui sont
of the conference,
production
we
et
have
distribution.
from
Je
production
dirais qu'on
to
va plutôt parler
distribution.
d'exploitation
So we'll
et
be talking
distribution.
about
On est assez peu
operation
producteurs. Aujourd'hui, on n'est
and
pas
distribution.
ni un
We don't
studio,
produce a lot. We're not
ni
a
des gens
studio.
qui fabriquons les
We don't have
contenus.
people who
Par
make
contre,
the
c'est la même
content,
chose
but
dans le cinéma et dans
it's
les
the same
longs-métrages.
thing in
Par contre, on est
terms of cinema
téléspectateurs, on est
and
distributeurs
feature
internationaux.
films. We're
On crée des
distributors, we're
salles, on
international
participe à cet
distributors.
écosystème.
We
Alors,
participate and contribute to
on
the
est quand même
ecosystem
dans l'un
and
des
open
lieux
up
qui est un
movie
temple du
theaters.
cinéma et
This
qui est
is
un
a
des lieux
place that's
qui
sort of
soutient
the
la
temple
création
of cinema
cinéphilique. Et
and
aussi
support
parce
to
que ça a été la
cinematic
première
creation.
question, l'une des premières réflexions qu'on s'est posées.
Also, one
On
of
va
the first
pouvoir
things that
commencer par
we
s'interroger sur le point
started
commun
looking at was
entre
thinking
les
about
frères
the
Lumière
common
pour inventer le cinématographe en
thread
1895
between
et
the
Palmer
Frère
Luckey
Lumière
qui a été l'inventeur du casque de réalité virtuelle 100 ans
and
plus tard
Palmer
en
Luckey, who was
2015.
one of the
Dans les deux
co-founders
cas, et c'est ce qui fait que
of
ces technologies ont été aussi frappantes
reality,
quand on
virtual
tient
reality.
nos
So what's really
réflexions, la première fois que les
striking
spectateurs ont
now,
fait face aux
the first
images
time
de
that
des frères Lumière, aux
viewers
images de réalité
saw these
virtuelle,
images
ils ont été sidérés par l'effet de
and the first time that
réalité,
the viewers saw
des émotions qu'ils n'avaient
virtual
pas
reality,
vécues
they
auparavant.
experienced emotions that they've never
La
felt
légende
before.
dit que les
Legend
spectateurs de la
has it
première
that the
projection des
viewers
frères
of the
Lumière
first
se sont enfuis de la salle
Lumiere
de
brothers nights
peur que le train
ran
les écrase.
out of the room
On
because they were
parle
afraid the
souvent
train
de
was
ce
going to run over
jour-là de
them.
l'invention du cinéma.
And we call this
Et
this is
il
the
faut pas se
invention of
méprendre
cinema, but let's not
sur
be
cette
mistaken
dimension
here
historique.
on the
Ce
historic
jour-là,
dimension.
en 1895, les
This
frères Lumière
day
n'ont pas
in
inventé le cinéma tel qu'on le connaît aujourd'hui. Ils ont inventé une technologie.
1895, they didn't invent cinema the way it is today, but they invented the technology to reproduce images. So the various industrialists, designers, creators, directors, and artists and performers took this on to give it shape, to give it the shape that we know today, which brings us together collectively in a room, in a movie theater with a certain amount of time, a certain projection. And this has become through the technology of the reproducing images. It's been the highest quality. But in a way, they the Lumiere brothers also, in the same way that TV was invented and YouTube was invented. So we're kind of at the same stage with virtual reality. We talk about the technology, we're looking at the shape, the form, and how to use it, and how to take it on, as it were. Let me see if I can stop this now. We can keep the Lumiere brothers. People ask me often about the future of cinema, and I asked Philippe Fusque as well, and I saw here he's one of the first people who gave me the best advice on this topic. Just to tell you the story, when I asked Philippe if he thought VR was the future of cinema, he said very simply, no, because the best way to see a movie is go to a cinema. And I think I agree. I don't think that VR is the future of cinema, and it won't replace the Lumiere brothers, but they made cinema available to the widest public. You know, if we go back to the 80s and even before, as regards VR. So today, many people think that VR is just a gadget. Many of you here are already sold on it. You're already fans. Some other people are maybe just here to get some info and see if it's worthwhile. And I think if you look at the issue, I think it's really interesting to look back when the internet first came out. Or similarly, certain of the scientists discovered cinema. You can see Time magazine in July 1994 described the internet as a strange new world. We can see that experience has brought them to be a little bit more prudent, because when they covered with Palmer Luckey, they were finding the surprising images here, but you can, and they are in fact inviting readers to turn the pages to see how virtual reality is going to change the world. Because what we're experiencing today, thanks to virtual reality, is you really have to take stock of this. It's It's a unique time, it's a special time. Everything is wide open. VR enables us to rethink our relationship with technology. Edward Snowden, in fact, develops this idea how technology links us together. So in the sense that virtual reality is a new medium, it's a new means of communication. And as in the time when the internet first came out, it's a new domain and constantly changing. It's not only cinema, and that's what's important to understand. VR is going to impact all areas, all sectors, and content production. We'll also touch on content production. Let's take some examples. Let's look at justice. In 2016, can everyone hear me there?
En 2016, un programme de recherche a été initié à l'université de Staffordshire
program at the University of Staffordshire in
the
UK. The program got 200,000 euros aid from the European Union to allow immersion in the crime scenes to get a better and more objective judgment. This is, in fact, I took these regalian topics as examples, and we can look at healthcare as well. 2014, Dr. Shafi Ahmed in London was to carry out the first information that was a 360-degree broadcast live. It's a dedicated site that allows students, medical students and surgeons or curious people to see these the procedures here for a tumor, a cancer tumor. Many examples every day when you're on the social networks and the media. In terms of virtual reality, you have a lot of significant examples here in the field, and it's clear that education is going to be a field where virtual reality is going to be very helpful. So now for us as distributors of cultural works, we question ourselves. I looked at what our role would be in this revolution, and in a way we could sum it up by an illustration in Matrix, the film Matrix, which is foundational and comes up a lot in conferences on virtual reality. In Matrix, the main characters had to choose between two pills. Blue, where everything stops, and you have beautiful dreams and all that. And this means that you would have a skeptical attitude to new technologies, waiting for it to prove itself, to take it up. Then you have the other pill, which is red, and that was to take you to the down to see the White Rabbit, down to the abyss, and then discover Alice's Wonderland. So this means taking risks and fully embracing new technology. This example can illustrate the attitude that you can have as regards to technology. So in our case, we decided to go for the red pill and to follow the rabbit. So this is where problems start, I guess, because at first glance, virtual reality, you put the glasses on and put a helmet on. It looks kind of like this, and it's complicated just for geeks, or it's inaccessible, it's dehumanizing, complicated, it's actually the opposite of cinema. So at MK2, it wasn't clear to come to a decision. We wanted to stay faithful to our values and the group's values over the past 40 years: diversity, promoting a lifestyle, place for living, cultural quality, and quality culture. It's very simple. In virtual reality, we did what we know how to do in feature films. So MK2 started out by creating movie theaters, cinemas. So then we started by creating a virtual reality cinema. We wanted it to be good looking, open. We wanted to get rid of the walls. We wanted to get rid of the cables. We wanted technology to be forgotten. We wanted this to be for content, open on the city, and bright. It might seem obvious when we present it this way. There's another view of the room. But we opened this in 2016. You have to remember, we had no reference. We had no examples to follow. Our biggest competitors worldwide, IMAX, opened 2 months after we did. So it's interesting to see that French cinema groups went faster. So we had technology suppliers from the US, and it was very exciting because we started from scratch. Kind of like at the time Mr. Pathé, Mr. Gaumont created the movie cinemas. So now in this room, we wanted to be able to bring in the best content, but also make it a place that people would enjoy, be collective, You could have a
Je vous montre
drink.
une petite vidéo du lieu alors. Pardon.
I think I'll show you a video of the venue.
C'était pour le spot de promotion.
So that was my plug,
Ensuite, on a
a little promo there.
On a, en plus du lieu, on a voulu
So in addition to the
créer un lieu
location,
où
we
les gens
wanted to
puissent
create a
échanger
place where
avant
people
de la VR,
could
un lieu
come
où
in,
ils
hang
pourront
out, discuss,
On a fait quelque chose de
exchange,
très simple.
have a drink.
On a créé un
So
bar avec
it was
ce
something
lieu.
very simple.
Et un
We
bar qui
created,
tranche
we
avec le côté
designed a
technologie
bar
du lieu.
that was
Un bar
completely
qui
the
soit fait en
opposite,
bois, sur pilotis,
in
avec des
contrast with
tentes, soit quelque chose qui amène
the
une
technology.
atmosphère
Wanted
qui
to
soit
be sort of like a
totalement
tent, like
différente.
a
Ce qui est intéressant, c'est qu'on a des
bamboo
gens
and
qui
all of
viennent
that. So it
pas
was interesting.
simplement pour boire un verre. On
We
a des
didn't
gens
want
qui
people.
viennent faire
We had
de la
people who
VR,
just come in and have a
qui font
drink.
de la
People
VR.
come in and only
Nous,
do
on a aussi un
VR.
moment où les gens
We
se
also have a
mélangent.
time where
Où ils viennent
people
pour l'un,
mix
ils
in
viennent boire un
when they
verre, ou ils
mix.
viennent pour
People
l'autre.
do some
Nous,
VR,
ils
then go
finissent
have a
par
drink,
passer
and
leur
vice versa.
soirée. Et ce
They
qui
end up
permet de
spending
créer
their
un
whole
lieu de
evening there.
destination.
So it
Sans
helps us
avoir
create a
Et je
destination,
rappelle aussi
a place where
on n'est
people,
pas dans un espace comme Barcelone
an
Paris.
experience
On est
location, if you will.
certes à la pointe du MK2
We're in
Bibliothèque,
Paris, where
la plus bibliothèque et une des plus grandes salles de France.
MK2
Mais entre l'entrée de la
Videothèque
salle
is
et
one of the
l'espace de
biggest
VR, il y a
rooms, but
300
in
mètres.
between,
Et le
the
long de ces 300 mètres, il y a
locations are
rien.
300 meters, and there's
Et
nothing in
toute
between.
il y a l'avenue de France en face de la
So
salle.
the,
Et tout le long de
this
cette
whole
avenue
Avenue de France,
aucun
in front of the
des
room,
bâtiments,
none of
aucun
the
des immeubles
buildings
n'est fini et n'a été
are
livré.
finished or were
À côté,
delivered.
on a
So
la BNF,
next,
et
we have
on a
the
la chance d'avoir d'énormes étendues
French
avec un
National
espace très ouvert.
Library.
Il faut quand même
It's
se
very
dire
big, it's
qu'on
very
est quand même
open,
quasiment
but we're kind of
quelque
in the middle
part,
of
et ça fait
nothing
que les
there.
gens viennent
The
pas
majority of the
pour
people
aller au
don't
cinéma
come
et ensuite faire une petite expérience de
to go
VR.
to the movies
Et
and
surtout pour
go
ça,
do a VR
c'était
experience.
important
They
pour
come
nous
in
d'en faire un lieu de destination.
just mostly
Alors
for the movies.
ensuite,
We
une
wanted
fois
to
qu'on a
make this a
créé des lieux,
destination,
une autre photo
an
de
experience
l'espace,
place. So here's another photo of the
il faut
place. We
remplir
created
ces
the
lieux
location.
avec
Have
les
to fill it up
Et
with
évidemment, ce qui nous
content.
intéresse chez MK2, c'est les
So
meilleurs
what interested
contenus.
MK2
Et
was
par les meilleurs
the best
contenus,
content.
on
And when we say
s'intéresse
best
surtout à des
content, we
contenus
mean
qui vont à la fois s'intéresser sur le
content
monde,
that
mais
will
qui vont
be
aussi s'intéresser sur
focusing on the
le
world,
langage,
but
sur la
also
manière de
language
créer, et qui vont avoir envie
and the way
d'inventer
people create,
cette manière de créer,
and wanting
telle
to
qu'elle est aujourd'hui,
invent
telle
this
qu'elle
way of
sera
creating
demain.
as it is today and as it
Alors,
will
je vais
be
prendre un
tomorrow.
petit exemple. Qui est
Here's an
une vidéo
example.
qui, je crois, a été présentée au
It's a
festival
video, I
l'année
believe it was
dernière.
presented at the
Et qui, je
festival
dois dire,
last
quand
year.
concerne, a été l'un des premiers chocs
And this is
de
one of the
narratif de réalité virtuelle.
shocks
Il y a un
in
groupe qui s'appelle Untitled
narration in
Chapter.
virtual
Beaucoup d'entre vous ici l'ont
reality.
vu, et
This is
en
called
fait,
Allumet.
la
I think many
vidéo
of you saw it.
ne rendra pas
Like the
forcément
video
grâce à ce que je vais vouloir dire, mais en fait, ce qui est
won't
intéressant
necessarily do
dans
justice
Allumet,
to what I'm
c'est que
trying
vous
to say, but
avez en dessous de vous, vous mettez le casque, et vous avez en dessous de
you,
vous
if you
tout un
put the
décor.
glasses
Vous
on
avez
and you
êtes
have the
comme un géant à l'intérieur
decor
du
underneath you,
décor,
like a
et vous avez la
giant
possibilité
in the
de
set.
tourner autour de l'action,
And you can move
de choisir
around
où
the
vous placer,
action,
de choisir votre regard,
select your
d'aller à
location,
l'intérieur du
select
décor.
your point of view, and go inside
Donc,
this set.
c'est très intéressant
So
parce
it's
que
really
ça
interesting
change
because
totalement le rapport
it
qu'on a au
completely
cadre, ça change
changes
totalement
the
le
relationship
rapport
you
du
have
spectateur à l'image.
to your
Et dans
setting
un
and
contenu de
the
cette nature, le
relationship that you
spectateur
have
devient
to
actif.
images,
À
and
l'intérieur
you
d'un
become
univers
active
narratif. Et
inside
dans
a
ce
narrative
sens-là, c'est le
universe.
sens de la VR, on a des frontières
So,
qui s'abolissent.
in
Les
fact, the thing
frontières
about
entre
VR is that
le vidéo et le
borders
cinéma, les
are
frontières
broken
entre
down
l'action et
between
l'interaction
video and
s'entremêlent
cinema,
complètement.
action,
Aujourd'hui,
interaction. So the borders are
ce
completely
nouveau
being
langage,
redefined.
c'est aussi
So
une
it's
nouvelle
new
grammaire,
language,
et
it's
vous
new
l'avez compris, elle est en
grammar.
cours de création.
It's being
Beaucoup de
created
gens
right
ici
now. A
qui
lot
vont
of
parler
people
après
here are
vont
going to
parler
be
de ce
talking
qu'ils sont en
about
train d'inventer,
what they're
vont être
inventing.
certainement beaucoup plus pertinents que moi à ce
They're going to
sujet.
be much more relevant
Et on
than
voit
I
que cette
am
création,
on
elle
this
en est
topic,
assez
but you can see that
baptisée.
the creation is
Ce qui est
really just at the
intéressant, et pour faire
beginning,
le lien
at
aussi
the
avec
early
le cinéma,
stages.
c'est qu'on voit
What's
aujourd'hui
important
qu'il
to
y a
make
des
the
grands
connection with
maîtres
cinema is that
du
we have some
cinéma
great
qui
masters
sont en train de s'emparer
in
de ce
cinema
nouvel outil
today who are
et qui
taking
ont
on
fait
this
quand
new
même ce qu'on
tool
peut qualifier dès
and
aujourd'hui de
who've
chef-d'œuvre
done
expérientiel.
what we can do
C'est
some
difficile
really
de ne pas évoquer
major
Iñárritu.
experiences. It's really difficult to compare and
Iñárritu est
explain
quand même un artiste,
Iñárritu.
un réalisateur
He's an
qui a
artist
gagné
and director
2
who
années de suite, 4 Oscars,
who's
Oscar
won
du
4
meilleur film et
Oscars,
l'Oscar
Best
meilleur
Film,
réalisateur.
Best Director,
Et c'est un artiste
for
qui
2
l'année
years
du
in a row.
70e anniversaire du Festival de Cannes,
And he
alors
was
qu'il a
at the
déjà eu des films en
70th
sélection au
anniversary
festival,
of Cannes
n'est
Film
pas revenu
Festival.
avec
He
un
was
film
there, but he
long-métrage,
didn't come back
mais
with
est
a
revenu avec
feature
une
film, but he
expérience de
came back
réalité
with a
virtuelle.
virtual reality
C'est pas
experience.
anodin, et
And this
pour
is,
ceux
I
qui
think,
l'ont
very important. It's
vu
very
ou pas vu, et
significant.
peut-être
If you saw it or didn't see it, very few people have seen it, actually. I don't want to reveal everything because I just hope that we'll be able to see it in Paris one day.
Ce qui est intéressant, c'est que c'est d'abord
But what's interesting is, before being a virtual reality work, it's a work of art. And I think what makes it successful is that Iñárritu, Alejandro wanted to tell the story of the refugees, the migrants in Mexico, the American border, and VR was the way, the means. He spent several years developing it, and I think he knew exactly what he wanted to do, how he wanted to immerse the spectator, the viewer, and the tool finally enabled him to do it. But had there not been virtual reality, he would have waited, I think, longer to do it. So I don't want to tell you the story. I hope you'll be able to see it. But for me personally, it's one of the most powerful examples of VR work that I've seen. And it's something that's going to be a milestone in the sector and the industry. It's going to stand out. And I think it's really important. It's a true artistic dimension. I think the other extreme, we see this in a more commercial, more mass market example. Here we have someone like Steven Spielberg, very involved in the democratization of VR. And this film is from Ready Player One. It's a book in the 80s on virtual reality. So we already know HTC and Warner are partners in the release, and it's going to produce a lot of VR experiences and should be a huge milestone in democratizing VR. So we're really just at the beginning. As we said, 2016, we said it was year one. Maybe it was year zero, 2017, maybe year one, the first year, but 2018 will be the year where we really reach a broad audience. And I have to tell you that in our VR location, people aren't going to come in there and discover it without knowing what the content is. One day, they might just come in and say, let's go see the new Spielberg. And hopefully they won't be seeing only Spielberg movies, but creator, designer, auteur films, original creation from France, from across the world. I'll give you some details on the contents that we're programming and we'll be showing in our cinema, some contents that's related to blockbusters. And we have some that are similar to our field. We have film and content that's adapted to big blockbusters. We also have some of the biggest studios, Felix and Paul, Ubisoft, Okyo, Agathe Film as well. One of the representatives here, Arnaud Collinard, is here and is waving the French creation flags. We have films for kids, independent creation as well in terms of video games. What's interesting and what we've discovered is that the preconceived notions that we had on certain type of audience that we were expecting, it was completely wrong, completely off. We had men from 15 to 30 years old would like the video games and interactive content, whereas women would like passive and 360-degree content, which is completely macho and sexist. And we realized that there was VR for everyone, content for everyone, and you couldn't predetermine who was interested in what. So just to give you some figures, where we stand over the past 7 months, we've had some 20,000 VR nuts, VR users in 110 square meters over the past 7 months, which is way beyond our forecast. And that's quite a performance when we compare this to an activity that we know very well, and that's our movie audience. So in the movie theater, in a cinema, you have content that lasts on average 2 hours. In VR, it's 50 minutes. A lot of people, English speakers, they say, isn't 50 minutes a bit long? And I have to say that we've had 50-minute sessions because that's what the audience asked for. We started with 40-minute sessions, but the audience asked us to stay longer and to have longer sessions. I think actually 50 minutes, it ends up being an hour because you have to take people in, install them, to get them set up and explain it and all that. So it does end up being an hour, but it's 50 minutes actual content time. I think in the future it might be longer, but right now we think that this is a good duration. It's the right duration. Average prices are higher than movies. People say movies are very expensive. Average price for a film in France is about €6. Whereas today the average price for a VR session is €20. So let's be clear on the fact that we are not the most expensive VR cinema, VR venue. There's some that are open to abroad as well, and they're very high, much higher prices in ours and can be twice as high, in fact. And in our cinemas, we have fill rates that are between about 20 to 75%. We had an article recently in our VR venues, we have 75%. So it's initial, it's beginning, but we're maintaining the fill rates and getting pretty much stable around the figures. for the time being.
Pour nous, après la salle,
So
on n'a
now,
pas souhaité
after
limiter
the
nos activités
venue, we
à ce
didn't want
domaine.
to
Et
limit
c'est là
our
où on
activity
a
to
commencé
this
à compléter nos
only
activités de
to
la
this
manière
area.
MK2
So we
l'a fait dans
started,
son histoire,
just like MK2 has
en
grown
créant
in the past. What
un
we
adjoignant
started doing
à
was
notre structure MK2 Film,
adding to our MK2 film. We wanted to export.
On a rebaptisé MK2 Film
We call this
and VR.
MK2 Films and
On a vite
VR.
compris que on avait besoin
So we
de rendre
quickly
service à deux
understood that we
typologies de
needed to
clients. D'un
provide
côté,
service for two
les
different types of
studios et les
clients,
créateurs
studios
qui
and
doivent d'abord avoir un
designers,
métier, une
creators who
préoccupation qui consiste à
whose
produire
business
et à
is
s'intéresser au contenu et à les
producing
fabriquer.
and
Et de l'autre,
making and
des
producing
salles,
and
des
distributing,
exploitants, des
making and producing content. And then we need
online qui, elles, doivent
cinemas,
programmer et
online
doivent
platforms that
travailler
need to
ce qu'on appelle le
program
dernier mètre avec le client
on
et
the
doivent faire le
last
marketing
kilometer,
de
as it
l'offre.
were, with the
Et
customers.
entre
They need
les
to
deux,
market the offers.
il y a
So
toujours la place d'un
in between,
intermédiaire, d'un
there's always room for
curateur,
an
de quelqu'un qui va
intermediary, a
faire
sort of
le pont, qui va
curator,
exporter
someone who's
ses
going to make the
contenus
link
et
and
qui va
export
aussi
that content
s'intéresser à toute une série de problématiques pour
and look
simplifier
at
les
all the
problèmes
issues
et
and
permettre à
simplify
l'industrie de se
the whole
structurer plus
procedure and
rapidement, de
enable the
grandir
industry to get
et
structured
de
more
se
quickly and to
structurer.
grow.
On a commencé à monter un catalogue.
So we
qui est un
started putting
catalogue
together a
d'exploitants,
catalogue that we
où on a
sell.
essayé, un peu à la
We sell and
manière du catalogue
market,
MK2,
sort of like our
faire
MK2
on a
catalog.
souvent
We wanted to do what
l'habitude de
we
dire,
normally
c'est un
do.
petit peu prétentieux, mais
Might be pretentious
en
to
tout cas,
say.
c'est
We tend to,
ce qui a porté notre volonté.
in fact, this is
On aime bien
what
dire
drove
que le
us. We like to say
catalogue,
that
on a
our
essayé de constituer le catalogue MK2 comme une sorte de pléiade
MK2
du cinéma.
catalog, we wanted to
On
make
essaie de
it
faire
sort
la
of
même
like a
chose dans la VR et
pléiade
d'avoir
for
les titres qu'on considère qui
sort of
sont
encyclopedia of
importants
cinema.
ensuite l'histoire de la VR. Parmi ces
And the
titres, il y a
most
beaucoup de films
outstanding
français.
films
Il y
in
en a
VR. So
deux
we have
qui
some
sont des
French
titres que
films,
vous
and
avez
there are
peut-être
two
déjà
that
vus, mais qui sont
you've
vraiment
probably
fondateurs
already seen, but these are
de ce qu'a été
foundational
ce que va être la VR française,
in what
qui est iPhilip,
behind French VR. It's
Notes on Blindness,
Philippe
d'Arnaud Collinard
and
et du
Notes on
studio Agathe.
Blindness.
On a aussi un partenariat qui est très important avec un
We
studio
have
qui s'appelle
a
Félix et
partnership
Paul,
with
avec un
Felix
studio
and
qui s'appelle
Paul,
Niobe, que vous pouvez voir à
Niobe,
côté.
Myobe, content
Félix et Paul est l'un
here.
des
So
studios
Felix
qui est
and
le
Paul
plus
Studio is one of the
reconnu aujourd'hui au niveau
most
mondial.
widely
C'est la première
recognized
fois qu'un
worldwide.
film de VR a été d'une durée aussi longue de 40 minutes.
It's the first time
tourné
we've had
avec
a 40-minute
des
VR
acteurs,
film
des vrais acteurs.
with real
Et on a des gens qui
actors.
travaillent quand même et qui
We
ont à
have
peu près
people
30 ou 35
working,
productions
about
actuellement en
30,
cours,
35
et qui travaillent
productions
dans le
right now
monde.
ongoing,
Et
working
ensuite, on va avoir des contenus un peu
around the
plus
world,
indépendants.
and then some more
On a un
independent
contenu comme
content,
Planète Infinie,
such
dont
as
l'un des
Planet.
producteurs vient d'arriver.
We have one of the producers
Qui a
who
un
just
contenu
came
absolument
in.
formidable, qui a été
That's
fait par un
amazing.
artiste Dufresnoy,
Infinite Planet, that's
qui a un
Dufresnoy
assez singulier, tout à fait
artist. It's
atypique,
quite unique,
que
atypical.
je crois aussi vous pouvez
I
voir,
believe
vous
you
pouvez voir
can
ici.
see, you'll be able to see
Qui a un
that here.
contenu qui a, à mon sens,
The content,
aussi avoir
I
une
think,
grande,
is
portée à
also
l'export.
going to have a great reach and
Et ensuite, on a des contenus musicaux, et un contenu qui s'appelle
export-wise.
Dolphin Man.
And then we have a Dolphin Man film here. This content was supported by Arte and CNC, the French National Cinema organization. So there's an ecosystem here in France that allows for these creations to exist, to express themselves, and to put France at the avant-garde and at the forefront of international creation. It's a screenshot, so I can't show you the rest of the catalog, but we have video games, interactive experiences, and we're rounding out our catalog with much more international content. So what's interesting here through this experience is as we're getting an understanding across the world where the cinemas are, how this is developing and growing, getting a feel for what people are expecting content-wise, and offering this to various studios, working with a network for the distribution of the content, creating long-term relationships, trustworthy relationships, and establishing an ecosystem that will be sustainable, because the money and the financing is going to start coming from the consumers of the content themselves, and not only from subsidies and investments from American corporations that are very involved in virtual reality at this stage and are allowing for the enabling the growth of the sector, in fact. To admit. So, in a way of conclusion, about 2 years ago, the magazine Wired, which is for me the great reference in all of this, in their cover, and articles on virtual reality, they said the winners would become the largest companies in history. I don't know if this prophecy will end up being fulfilled. I certainly can't predict the future. And I'm not a futurologist, which is a great profession, I suppose. But I don't think that VR is necessarily the total future of cinema, but it's not a gadget either. It's a new generation of IT interface and communication. VR is a new way of creating, and this is why it's so exciting. In MK2, this new adventure that we wanted to embrace, in fact, the only limit is our imagination, our creativity. So we're participating in this event to bring as many people as possible and to follow our example, because in fact, there's a huge incredible opportunity. So thank you, and I hope that this is a good introduction for the rest of what's going to take place. Okay, now we have a Q&A session. So someone's going to come around with a microphone. If you have any questions, you'll need to...
If you have a question to ask, you can raise your hand. Est-ce que vous avez des questions pour Elisha?
So any questions? I guess it was so exhaustive. I covered everything. Don't need to ask any questions. Okay, saw a hand back there. Hello, Mathieu from Virtual Reality. A very simple question. How old? From what age? Very good question. In our venues, we accept kids as of 6 years and up. You'll see that all of the masks, glasses, and everything give disclaimers and authorization as of 13 years old. But you're right to ask the question. Whereas today, we don't have all of the studies yet that which will allow for insurances and insurers to guarantee us that from 6 years up, kids would be problem-free. So we decided to take the risk, but we're not doing this, without in a careless way. We did get information. We have VR times that are limited. So if you have glasses at home, you don't know how long the kids are going to use them, but there's we have to look at reality as well. A kid who's 6, when he comes into our venue, he knows what VR is. He knows what brands the glasses are, and once he has the glasses on, it's completely natural for him. It's fascinating to see how easy these kids take ownership of this technology. Imagine a kid who's 6 years old who's tested VR at home with her dad or in a room, comes into comes to recess at school, and he's telling his buddies. These kids go home and tell their parents they want VR. So you're the parent, you're saying, well, you can't use VR until you're 13 years old. So you can't use it for another many years, right? Well, that becomes that's the lawyer's world, if you will. That's not reality. If you tell a kid they can't practice VR until they're 7, 8, I think it's, or they can't do it for another 7, 8 years, that's impossible. So we've decided to authorize as of 6 years and up. Any other question? Hello, Isabel. A little bit more about your international development, please. I'm imagining that these are very far in the future, but could you tell us a little bit about the international expert and development of your venues? Well, it's in the works right now. We don't communicate on it formally yet at this stage, so just very clear and very directly today, I'll tell you we have 2 options. Opening MK2 VR international venues, exactly as we open up cinemas. We're going to follow that development. We have one in the works in Spain, in Madrid. Cinemas that can be within VR rooms that can be within our cinemas, or they can be standalone. We presented this at Vivatech, and we could talk about this, but we quickly understood is that we weren't going to have a franchise type of development like IMAX, for instance, because our brand isn't well known across the world. So I think it's a model that's outdated. We don't want that type of model. So what we're designing right now, what we've presented is what we call the MK2 VR pod, and it's a kit that allows for all the professionals, whatever be their sector, to create and open up a VR space using the same features, technological functions as we have in the MK2 VR. It's a model. We sell it as a kit. You can put it together in like 1 to 2 hours. You can assemble them together, and you can reproduce the same space that we made here. Now this product is starting to be sold to a network of preferred customers who for many are from the cinema world, others are just distributors of our films, and they share our vision of cinema. And we will then be able to start exporting as I'm thinking end of September, early October. And at that stage, we'll have a broader communication to the general public, and our positioning will be clarified, and it will be easier to see exactly what our international reach will be. So we built it up so that it would immediately be international, worldwide, on the scale fashion, and we're fortunate to be able to do this. We have a card that we can play, and we want to play it fully. It may work, it may not work, but if we get it wrong, we're going to try and get it wrong with panache, as the French do, and that makes it a lot more fun. One last question then.
Bonjour, Emmanuel Bourset.
Hello, Emmanuel Bourset. Over here. The experiences that you're offering are today mostly single, solitary. We're seeing increased multiplayer VR activity. How are you intending to include those and adapt your stations to that experience? Yeah, you're right. Several things there, though. It's true that the experiences that we offer are only this type of the exception of Life of Us and the Kaleidoscope Festival. These are experiences that are practiced singly. So for the collective dimension for us is the way that we have the technology. We have screens and we can see what people are seeing in the glasses. It's sharing the experience, but you don't live the experience, right? Being around where everyone can see everyone in our space, it's designed for multiplayer. Now today, we have the opportunity to do it with Eagle Flight, with Ubisoft. We can go with all the stations in the space and go with sessions. We haven't done that yet, just deliberately, but it would be easy to do that in the future. Our design was planned that way. We haven't yet found the content that we like to and make it suitable for our space. The way we have it laid out, we're not planning for it to be the ultimate or the final or the perfect design, and might be the design that will be used in 10 years' time, but it's good time to market. It's good it's very functional in terms of quality-cost ratio. We think it's good. There's a lot of different VR practices, and of course we're looking at all of the VR practices, be they 360, interactive, immersive, collective. So we're looking at all of that, and we're trying to find the best spaces, best places, best content, and we are planning for supported development. And just let me remind you that 6 years ago didn't even exist. We didn't even exist in VR. A year ago, we didn't even know what we were going to do. A year and a half ago, we just discovered VR with all of the glasses that we're using today. In fact, were initially made for general public and not for intense use, as we're doing with about 200 people a day, 200 people per glasses, per head of glasses. Been around for just like a year, so quite a bit of a change compared to if you look back at the Lumiere brothers. The developments took place over like 10 to 15 years. Now it takes place in weeks or months. So we're trying to stay ahead of the game, leading edge, sort of being on the edge of new technologies, trying to digest, and then put those out there and offer for the general public, and so it being something that's not just fledgling, but something that's really made by the for a wider audience. Thank you.